Today in Minecraft, we are going to be completely transforming the plains biome near my base. Today's video is a little special in that instead of focusing on one big build, we're going to be doing a lot of small builds that are just going to transform the plains biome. Ever since I've started the survival world, this natural ravine has been calling my name, and I've been so excited to lay down a path here that connects my base and a nearby village. In fact, the history of this village has a lot to do with this massive field overall and why it looks the way that it does now, and I am so excited to tell you more about the story I've cooked up. We will get to all of that later, but for now, let's just jump right into building. We have a lot to do, but the first thing on our checklist is to build a little crumbling stone wall. Okay, so the wall is going to be kind of in between here. Let's see, let's get the first couple of blocks down. Okay, I'm just hopping into voiceover here. When I started building this wall, I just started speaking incoherently. I can give you guys a glimpse of what it sounds like. Okay, so I come up the path, we're having a grand old time, and I'm walking along the wall, and right about here. Let me get that, let me mark that, there we go, maybe like right about like that, I think. Actually, no, wait, I think I like how it is right now. Basically what I'm trying to do here and failing to articulate is I'm imagining where I want the quote-unquote door of the wall to be, the big arch that allows passage between my base and the plains. I was a little bit pressed for space, so I decided to extend the terrain. I really took my time deciding where I wanted the door of the wall to be, and then I just started messing around with some different heights and shapes for the arch itself. But in the end, I decided a shorter wall with an arch carved out would be the best design for this build. Instead of building the arch first, I decided to switch gears and start building the wall instead. I thought that maybe I was jumping too far ahead of myself and I needed to secure myself a good starting point first. I think the wall is going to come to a little bit of a natural stopping point right here. In the story I've written in my mind, this land has existed for decades, if not hundreds of years, with lots of people coming by on trade routes. The rolling hills and mountainous terrain here create a really good natural boundary that not a lot of people would be very keen to pass through, especially not if there's a semi-flat plains biome right there that would be much easier to travel across. So I feel like whoever was building this wall in the first place got to this point here and was like, yup, nope, nobody's gonna cross these things. And then they just left it as it is. This is my path up here to get to my mob spawner and everything, so it is gonna make my life a lot easier if I don't put a massive wall up there. Okay, so this is kind of what the wall is looking like right now. It's a little bit bare bones, not gonna lie. However, I do think it has a lot of potential. Before I started adding detailed blocks, I decided to carve out the arch. There we go, something like that. I think I like that a lot more when the arch is kind of built into the rock around it. And then I decided to pop down a little tower at the end of the wall just to make it all feel a little more intentional. There we go. Then I'm just gonna fill in the terrain a little bit under here, just to make that feel a little supported. I'm not sure if I want to have a floating stone tower there. Here's an idea. How can I showcase this idea right now? Okay, so we are gonna get hanging vines in the middle of this wall here. Do I have the stone? I do have the stone. We'll get the stone stairs for extra oomph. There we go. We'll get some vines here. Wait, I love this. Yep, we're sold. I'm sold. This is what we're doing now. I also have the idea of, like, say for example, instead of glow vines here, there used to be iron bars here that would like rise and fall. In case this was ever like a more regulated trade route and there were possibly guards watching the wall here, I feel like it would make a lot more sense to like, I don't know, beef up the wall, I guess. After I finished up adding that second layer of the wall, I added some texturing to the wall with different variants of the stone blocks. I wasn't too worried about making the wall symmetrical on either side. I just sort of went for it and I decided to get some vines up there as well. When I finished decorating, I realized I needed to make the little pillars at the end of the wall more prominent. I thought if there used to be guards and iron bars here, then there should definitely be little lookout towers as well, so I got right to work. initially had this tower completely built out of wood, but I decided it didn't quite look like it fit, so I decided to redo it in stone. For this build, I actually took a little bit of inspiration from Zapixel's Wizard Tower, and the link to that build is in the description below. You'll be able to really see that in these little walls and the fences I put in the corner here, and the roof as well. As I'm learning how to build and find my own style in building, it is really helping to take inspiration from what I've seen in the past, but it is definitely really important to me that I try to put my own spin on it. To me, it wouldn't really make sense if we kept this lookout in pristine condition while the rest of the wall looked so old, so immediately after building this wonderful tower, I blew it up. And really tore it apart so it would look like it was 3 seconds from collapsing. I threw some vines, glowberries, and cobwebs up there, which are probably my 3 favorite decoration blocks right now, and that was it. Here is the finished tower. I love the vines covering the door. I also built a tower on the other side of the wall. I definitely left this one in better condition than the other one. So along the wall here, we're just gonna get a lot of really tall grass, we're gonna get some bushes and some landscaping, but the goal is to kind of make it seem like everything is kind of overgrown. And honestly, right off the bat, I would really love to get just a massive bush right here, to be honest. Wait, what does this look like? Ooh. You know what? I kind of vibe with it. I'm not even gonna lie. It's a statement piece. I love it. This is definitely one of the funnier time lapses I filmed. You can just see me zipping around on a plant frenzy. I threw almost every single green nature block I could think of at this wall. I had tall grass, oak leaves, vines, azalea bushes, you name it. I even added some layers of moss carpet. Nice. I really like that, but I think it's missing some lanterns. I'm just gonna test something really quickly. Oh no! I can't put a lantern on top of a leaf block? I am very upset by this. Okay, I guess it kind of makes sense because you wouldn't want to put like your lantern on top of like on top of a bush and then you burn your whole forest down. Okay, I guess I can see why. I think we're just gonna seat some lanterns along the wall here, just kind of make it a little bit discreet. Then over here, this area needs something. I think we can get a big bush here. Okay, I like that it's really coming together here. Why do I kind of want to put an azalea tree here? Oh. I like that a lot. I think that's a really cute touch. What the heck? Wait a second, it is really starting to come together over here. Wow. This is amazing! It looks so good in the nighttime. I guess it could be time to start working on a path. I'm not gonna lie, this is gonna be really hard. For the next part of this video, a lot of my footage actually ended up corrupting, so the pacing might be really wacky here, but thank you for bearing with me. I did manage to scrape together whatever footage I had to kind of show off what I managed to get done. I kept on working with the path design inside of the wall, really focusing on the dirt here, and then outside of the wall, I decided to kind of change up the path design and use stone instead. I wanted the stone in the path to make everything feel a little more chilly, especially when it's in stark contrast to the luscious, vibrant, comfortable base that is like just a foot away. I hope the plains would feel kind of open and exposed, so as you run along the path, you're always kind of checking over your shoulder to make sure you're alone or that nobody is watching you from the mountains. I think when I was recording, I compared it to running up the stairs of your basement when you were a kid. I was always so scared of something chasing me up the stairs, but then as soon as I got to my living room, I was safe. Everything in the plains feels completely different from the populated areas. The grass has grown long with neglect, the vibrant bushes and azaleas have died a long time ago, along with all of the other flowers that used to grow here. This used to be a beautiful, bustling area, but all that's left now are the ghosts that haunt these plains. And with that, this is how the path turned out. I almost think in hindsight, something is missing. Whether it be a really cool cave or like a featured build off of the path, I'm really not sure what. But you know, now that I'm thinking of it, I might actually add some blank signs here and there. If I put some blank oak signs down off the path, it will probably make things feel a little bit more spookier, and you know, it could also hint that there were messages or maybe warnings that were placed down and lost to time. We did get a little land tunnel here, which I think turned out so cute. And we also did install this really old rickety staircase. It is really starting to fall apart, but from the rolling hills and the dead bushes, I can imagine it used to be really beautiful here. In the next part of this video, I'm going to be kind of working on developing the village. I've made this little platform here just off of the path. It's a little further away from the village, but right here I'm going to be building an abandoned house. Up until now, I've kind of hinted at things here and there, but I haven't outright said anything about the history of this village. I think this might be a good time to give you guys the full story while I build this little house. You would not believe it, but long ago, this village was very well established and it was growing more and more every day. It was well on its way to becoming a kingdom, led by a team of villagers who prided themselves on their cunning and wit. Over the years, the village had formed great relationships with nearby towns, and trade parties were able to make visits back and forth between the towns with not a care in the world. The closest town to them was named Landmark, and it had become the home to all lost travelers. Anyone who didn't know their way around these parts somehow always ended up drawn back to Landmark, which was fine enough, but what its neighbor didn't like is that all compasses pointed to Landmark as if it were true north. Our developing village here became jealous and greedy. They interpreted this sort of magnetic attribute as a gift from the gods themselves and began to poison the goods they traded to Landmark. Our village here wanted all of the power and especially all of the people. They did not want to be outgrown by Landmark and took whatever measure they deemed necessary to weaken their rival. Naturally, this selfishness upset the gods who watched over this land, so they targeted the village based on the thing the leaders were most proud of, their intelligence. From the tallest point of the nearby mountain, the gods blew enchanted flower seeds across the plains, and the entire valley erupted into breathtaking color. When the villagers awoke one morning and saw the valley covered in flowers, their greed was sated. They thought the gods bestowed a gift upon them as an act of peace. With this many beautiful flowers in the area, they thought they would turn the village into a tourist attraction. Suddenly, there were infinite opportunities for profit and growth. They planned to go to Landmark and guide the lost travelers back home, promising the most gorgeous view one could ever see. The opportunity of a lifetime. Little did they know the flowers were bewitched. The village, once proud and cunning, fell into ruin under the flower spell. The butchers forgot how to cure their meats. Months' worth of food spoiled, and there was not enough rations to go around, and the village fell into hunger. Blacksmiths grew reckless with their tools, and multiple fires broke out. Several homes and workstations burned down, and many villagers were now homeless. The cartographers delivered the wrong maps and sent several expedition teams to their deaths. When a meager exploration team expected to find another village, they wound up in the middle of a dark oak forest and were slain by pillagers. When the villagers weren't accidentally sabotaging and injuring each other, they were rather fleeing from the disasters occurring around the village. Some fled into the plains and ran off into the sunset, never to be seen again. Eventually, one villager in particular, a simple blacksmith, came to his senses long enough to realize what was happening. Protected by his welding helmet, he was spared from the full effects of the flower spell. He stormed through the fields, ripping handfuls of the flowers up by the stems and disposing of them. He worked for days until the valley returned to its original glory. As valiant as his efforts were, the damage had been done. The greedy leaders of the village were dead, and so were many of their loyal citizens. Slowly, the villagers who survived shook off their days and came back to their wits. There was not much left for them to do except downsize where they could. They tore down a lot of the old buildings that had been destroyed, except for a rare few on the outskirts of the village, which includes the house I am working on now. As you might have seen in the flashbacks, this used to be a cute little house. Whoever lived here used to keep pet pigs in a little pen beside the house, which I thought was so cute, but unfortunately I have to kind of tear it down a little and make the property look a little rough. It's a fixer-upper now. I tried to blow it up with the creeper, but that didn't work too well, so I just kind of put holes all over the building and the floor inside. I put a bed in there and also some rotten flesh and poisonous potatoes into a chest, just to add a touch of detail in there. I also put a little fishing hut up here, and instead of filling the front of the house with water as it would normally have, I left it empty but put a few holes and puddles in there and replaced the dirt with coarse dirt, so it would all kind of look like old mud that is starting to dry up. Now that I think about it, the actual mud block we have in Minecraft probably would have worked better, but that's okay, we'll stick with what we got. These are how the two houses turned out. I definitely think they're a little bit eerie and compelling to look at, especially as you're coming up the path. There is one last final touch I need to add, and that is the giant copper statue that sits right in the entrance of the village. The leaders of this village long ago were too greedy and proud, and they invested in a giant copper statue to greet all of the travelers to their town. I do want to say, the statue I'm about to build was designed by someone here on YouTube named Gold Robin. I thought the statue was perfect for what this village needed. The link to their tutorial for building this lovely statue is in the description below. It required me to really invest in a lot of copper. I don't think I have ever mined so much copper in my life. Oh my god. I was not expecting to have that much copper. Wow, okay. I've only been to like 3 or 4 veins of copper, so I thought I would have had like maybe 2-3 stacks. Oh my goodness. I stopped playing Minecraft when copper was added to the game, and I never saw a use for it really, but in hindsight, now that I've built this project, I can really appreciate copper. For one, it's an amazing source of experience once it's smelted, and 2, I love the fact that you can craft stairs and decoration blocks out of this ore. The most important part of the statue is that it was once flawless and shiny and brand new, but it is slowly starting to rot away. And I think the weathered and oxidized blocks do a fantastic job at showing time has passed. However, getting the copper to the point of it being weathered and oxidized was a really big pain though. But we got there in the end. I kind of went about building the statue in an odd order. First, I started by building the statue with whatever blocks I had available to me. Then I replaced all of the weathered blocks with flawless copper so that I'd have a clean slate, and from there I went in carefully with my texture and detail blocks for the final look. I kind of fiddled around with what palette I wanted for the statue, but in the end I decided to leave the statue at this first stage of oxidization? Oxidization? Is that a word? And I figured I'd just let the copper do the rest as I play on the survival world. Some blocks are waxed, some aren't, and I completely forget which ones are which, so over time I hope we'll see a really cool kind of pattern design come through. I also laid down some bushes and flowers to create a sort of circle around the statue. The villagers care enough about their history to sort of give back to nature and plant flowers and make it all pretty, but they're also sort of letting the nature reclaim the last evidence of their greedy past, and they're not really caring to maintain the statue. And with that, I think it's time to do a little showcase of everything I built today. So I guess just to recap here, we have this gorgeously decayed lookout tower here, and you can see at the second angle how really torn up and forgotten it looks inside with the holes in the floor and the cobwebs. We also put down lots of vegetation and bushes rooted along the wall here. I didn't know that it would create this effect, but I love the glow of the hidden lanterns here. I also want to take a second and show off the path as well. I just think the rooted dirt and the coarse dirt makes the path up here look so good. We also have the second lookout tower off of the side there with the azalea tree and the gorgeous glowberry arch that takes us to the plains. From there we have our stone path, and I did eventually build this rotting staircase in there too. I am not sure if I'd be willing to climb this thing in real life, but I think it turned out pretty cool, especially since it's a little crooked and lopsided. It has a little bit of that Kate Lowe's charm. I love the way the path just stretches out over the hills and nestles itself into the lowest points of the valley. I finished editing this video after the addition of the firefly bushes came to the game, so now I know that those exist. I am strongly debating just putting those everywhere in this valley. The same goes for like the tall dry grass blocks they added. Mojang really heard that I was doing an ambiance rich build and they pulled out all of the stops for me. I really truly appreciate it. These abandoned houses are so bittersweet to me. I just think that this would be the perfect place to have a little property, you know, you have space for your pigs. It's a little out of sight from the rest of the village, but you're still connected and you got the fishing hut right there, so maybe you could work there. I definitely think that if I start a project where we restore the village and valley, we definitely have to fix up these houses again and bring them back to their former glory. The statue, however, I definitely think will leave the same. I absolutely love the mechanic of the copper blocks that shows time passing. I'm not really sure if there's truly another block in Minecraft that does the same thing. I think it just creates a really beautiful, wistful effect that shows something powerful stood here decades ago, but now it almost looks like a shell of its former self. I actually have a favor to ask of you. As we develop the land in Survival World, I think we need a name for this village. If anyone watching this far wants to think of any name ideas and drop them in the comments below, I would love to hear them. One of my Twitch mods actually named the other village featured in this video named a landmark. I thought it would be so cool to also give a name to other villagers and, I guess, other landmarks in this world too. And with that, I am going to end this episode here. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed. Please feel free to subscribe if you like what you saw today. It is completely free, and you can always unsubscribe later. Bye guys!